Let's take a look at our calculator for just a minute. We're going to look at example 3 in our section that we're currently working on, but I want to make sure that you understand some things about the calculator. For one, you're going to be going back and forth with degrees and radians in this course, so you want to make sure that you're very familiar with your mode key on your calculator. Notice that my calculator tells me that I'm in degrees. If I want to change to radians, I would just hit mode and I would slide over to radians. So you need to make sure that when you're working a problem, you know whether the problem is in degrees or in radians. On example 3, it says to find the inverse sine of 0.97. And it says, in the solution, it says because the output of the inverse function is an angle, the calculator will give us a degree value if in degree mode and a radian in radian mode. Calculators also use the same domain restrictions on the angles as we are using. In radian mode, and it gives us a problem and it gives us an answer, and in degree mode it gives you something else. So you need to make sure that you understand what it is that you are looking for. Most of the time you are going to be using radians. So you want to keep that in mind, and so you'll need to know which one you're talking about. And in example 3, they give you the answer for both of them because they've not told you which one that they want. So let's suppose we're doing degrees, and we want to do the inverse sine of 0.5. Now remember, we wouldn't say the inverse sine of 30 degrees because what inverse does is you have the sine or the cosine or the tangent, and you are trying to find the angle that goes with it. So if I hit inverse sine of 1/2, what I'm saying to you is what angle gives me the sine value of 1/2, and it would be 30 degrees. So the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. That's what that's doing. It's going backwards with it. So if I change it then to radians, and I do inverse sine of 1/2, my calculator gives me this value in radians, and what it's doing is it's giving me pi over 6, and it's not going to, on this calculator, this particular calculator has this arrow key on it, and it will give you the exact value. It'll go back and it'll give you pi over 6. A lot of the calculators won't. The TI-84 will not do that, but this little calculator will do that for you. So it's going back and it's telling you which angle value that comes from. So if you hit inverse sine, notice it's green, so use the green key. It's going to give you the angle that it came from. If you hit inverse cosine, so if I hit inverse cosine of 0.5, it's going to tell me the angle that comes from, and if I hit my little arrow key, it tells me that's pi over 3. So it's going to give that to me, and my calculator right now is in radians, so you want to make sure that you check to see whether it's in degrees or radian mode.